What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, I want to do a little walk down memory lane for this video. I joined Splinterlands roughly 3 years ago. I actually just checked the welcome email for my the main account that I created, and that was on August 30th. 2021. So we are now 3 years in. I'm celebrating my 3-year Splinterlands anniversary, and it has been a crazy, crazy ride. I will say that. So I just want to walk through kind of my history with the game, mainly because, one, just to kind of first to capture it in in video form here for future generations, and we'll see how it ages. But secondly, I've actually started seeing an uptick in subscriptions. So I don't know if that's new players coming in or players returning back to the game, or a combination of both, or whatever the case might be. But I figure now would probably be a good time. I've been making Splinterlands content for roughly 3 years now. I've had the opportunity and the privilege to work directly with team members on several really cool things on a creative standpoint. So I'll get into that, and forgive me in advance. This video is probably going to be a little meandering, but that's kind of how all my videos are. So I'll try to just walk you through how things came about with Splinterlands for me and what my journey has been like. So I'm not going to talk through the tokenomics and cards and stuff. This is more so a little bit more of a personal journey, just in case people are joining over the last couple of months or weeks. But I've been here for 3 years, which is kind of absolutely crazy to think about. So getting into this, I was looking for cool Web3 games after the Axie Infinity boom in summer of 2021. I remember that I was just buying a bunch of different tokens in summer of 2021 for different games that I would hear about, and then go and try to check them out and see what they were all about. And I remember the first thing I did with Splinterlands was buy some DEC, hold it in my BNB wallet, and connect my wallet to the game. And the next day I came in and I saw SPS airdrop to me. And I did the math, and I was like, dude, this thing has like a 200 to 300% APR. This is kind of nuts. And so that piqued my curiosity. That piqued my interest. And I was like, okay, I need to check out what's going on here. So I go in, look at the game, give it a try, right? And we're just like working with starter cards at this point, because you can earn with starter cards, which obviously ended up being one of the biggest exploits in the game's history. But there was a feeling that I had when I played the game for the first time and I earned DEC. And it was like a couple of DEC or a fraction of a DEC. Keep in mind, this was like before SPS rewards, right? So it was DEC rewards. And there was a feeling that I had where I was just like, holy crap, I just played a game and I earned real money, and I can go do that again. And there was a different energy system back in the day, right? It was ECR, energy capture rate, which meant that you could play forever, right? But your rewards would come down because it was only like recovering at a rate of like 1% per hour or something like that. So there were limits, but you could literally just play forever if you wanted to and enjoy the game in that way. And I definitely, most certainly did, getting my ECR down to like single-digit percentage points. But it was a massive shift for me. It was a massive shift because I had been streaming a lot of Web 2 games previously, and the biggest one probably was Fortnite, that people at least are aware of. And I'm not a big gamer by any means, right? I was doing it, I was having fun. There were a lot of people online that I had met through it, and I immediately recognized the ability to own your own assets, right? To buy something and then have the ability to sell it or rent it out, right? That was so cool to me, because seeing how a lot of people interacted with Fortnite assets, right? Now, I hate to even call them that, but Fortnite skins and whatever paraphernalia that they have on Fortnite, I would remember that there'd be people that would like grind so hard to get like level 100 and earn some cool skin that was like exclusive to only people who had grinded the game, only to have it be available in the store like 2 months later, and those people be devastated because they're like, well, something that I spent hours working towards, now somebody can go buy for $10.99 or whatever it is. And so I love the idea of like creating that exclusivity. And so all of a sudden my interest was peaked in terms of NFT gaming, right? And I had been looking at a couple different games, none of which actually survived the 2021, well, I should say the post 2021 bull run. So that whole bear market that happened. But there was definitely a shift in my thinking when it came to gaming, and all of a sudden I believed in it, right? I believed in the thesis. Whether or not that was going to be Splinterlands in the future, it didn't matter. I just believed in the thesis of gaming, right? And I thought to myself, there's an opportunity here, whether it's Web 3, whether it's Web 2.5, I don't know how long this shift is going to take for this to click for people, right? Because I came in from the investor and crypto side of things rather than the gaming side. And I know that there's a lot of games out there now that are doing a fantastic job of, kind of crypto pilling the gaming community into coming to check out, these Web 2.5 or Web 3 games. So that was a huge moment for me, right? That was a huge moment, and I was a big believer in what Splinterlands was trying to do. They had big dreams back then, so I definitely bought in. I bought in and suffered through it all, like many other people, right? Over the ensuing bear market that came through. I did not purchase any major cards. I mean, well, you know what? There's a video of me purchasing like a gold foil Jin O'Shaunish for like $300, which is probably my biggest public L. So you can go back and watch that. That's always fun to relive. But in terms of like buying a bunch of Untamed cards and things like that at the height of their popularity, I did not participate in that. I definitely went heavy into Chaos Legion though when it first came out, and slowly started leveling up my deck and was just able to play and participate right early, or we'll say late 2021, early 2022. So, we go through this whole process, and in there, I will make this a little personal because I started doing content here, and I had the incredible opportunity of starting to connect with people, right? So I started doing interviews on the channel, or just started talking to other people in the game. And obviously someone that you guys know very well, Darkest Night, is someone that I got to meet probably around like spring of 2022. And so got to meet him, got to meet several other folks. And then of course, I know I'm fast forwarding here a little bit, but, later on in the year we had Splinter Fest, where a lot of those digital friendships and relationships got to be actualized in the real world. And I'll expand on that a little bit more later. But, main thing was, I was able to start meeting a lot of people, a lot of like-minded folks in kind of like the crypto Web3 space, that had an eye for gaming, or that had an affinity for gaming. And so we went through this whole period of, I remember the bot wars, right? So all of a sudden we started our first offensive against the bot wars, I would say in May of 2022, when the new ranked rewards came out. And that was a relatively big moment because there wasn't much between January when Chaos Legion launched officially, and then there was the Waka promo, which will live in infamy. But there wasn't much from like February to May until we got the ranked rewards. At which point you needed to own the cards or rent the cards. Ghost cards could no longer earn, and that was a big deterrent because we had maybe 500,000 daily active accounts that were mostly bot farms, just draining the game of all, of any and all things and rewards in it. So that was a big moment. We also got the modern and wild kind of split. So wild format or modern format became a thing, I think in July of 2022, if memory serves me right. And we had this really fun summer of Splinterlands where, myself, many others, Tales from the Cryptmancer, Darkest Night, we were all just having a blast playing probably way too much Splinterlands and getting really, really into it. So that takes us to, I'll say the end of July, early August, at which point we had somewhat of a massive shift. And if my memory is off here, again, I'm doing this off the cuff, so forgive me and please correct me in the comments. But at that point, we made the switch from DEC rewards to SPS rewards. And then we started the LP rewards for SPS. We started guild rewards. Guild Brawl rewards. So there was a massive shift in the economy from there. SPS inflation just went through the roof, right? And this was at a time when, SPS had gone from like $1 and we were all the way down at like 4 cents, I remember. But there was this hype going into September because we had Rift Watchers. We had Tower Defense packs, right? At the time, Soul Keep. We had GLS had been announced as, this cool platform that would be launching. And, there was Rooney in the mix as well that fall. And then, of course, we had Splinter Fest in October. And so we saw SPS go from like 4.5 cents to like 9 cents, I remember, Node licenses started to go crazy. We sold out the pre-sale tranche and the first tranche, and it was fun times, I would say, in like September, October. Even though we were kind of in the throes of the bear market already, we'd seen the collapse of FTX. We'd seen not the collapse of FTX. We'd seen the collapse of Luna in March. I think we'd seen the collapse of Celsius and some of the other firms over the summer. Obviously, what was right around the corner was the collapse of FTX, and that happened in November, so about a month after Splinter Fest, at which point, things really took a turn for the worse with Splinterlands, as they had a round of layoffs at that time. Now, I'm skipping something completely that I was meaning to talk about, but the opportunity that I had to work with a team was actually during this time frame in 2022 as well. So for those who don't know, I joined the team as a contractor, around, I think the conversations were around like late 2021 or early 2020. I can't remember exactly. But I created that song, Chaos is Here. Again, just like a fun little fan fiction kind of track. Put it out there into the world, and got in touch with Nate and was like, yeah, you can use this for whatever you want. And then one conversation led to one another. Nate's an awesome dude. Got on and started to do a lot of like bard-like tracks for the team. That led to being able to perform at Splinter Fest in October, which was awesome. And that event was incredible in many ways. And I think what makes me so sad about it is the fact that it feels so far away, in the sense that I don't know when we would ever have something like that, right? The game, the company, the ecosystem, the community was in a completely different space in 2022. Despite the bear market really hitting in, there was still so much hype. And again, I know that hype was never really delivered on, but there was this kind of like feeling that the community had, right? We were fighting the bots. Felt like we were starting to win, right? We saw the numbers dropping down, and rewards were pretty good and all that. And so it just became it was just this fun time in 2022, which obviously kind of culminated in Splinter Fest, and then Rooney shortly after that. And then, of course, we had the bottom dropout in, after the FTX collapse, where you had the team. The team was gutted. They got rid of quite a few folks. Here's the thing: I was on it as a contractor, right? Just to be fully transparent. So I've always had just a contract role. It's just an as needed if they have projects here and there. It wasn't something where that was like a major impact. I mean, of course, the company was trying to tighten its belt, so that makes sense. But in terms of where the company was going from there, Aggie was still CEO. So keep in mind, there were 2 rounds of layoffs. So we're going to get to that in 2023. But 2022 rolled out. We had the introduction of Soulbound reward cards. Was probably one of the biggest things that came out early 2022. And I have to say, I know it feels so far away now, but we're starting to see the fruits of that labor, of that decision, right? We're starting to see the positive impact with how much DEC has been burned from that. So whoever's idea it was, whether it was Matt or someone else's on the team, big shout out, because like it took a while, but here we are at a point where now reward cards are no longer DEC positive, they're DEC negative, which is fantastic for the ecosystem overall. We had a good in theory idea with DECB. Again, I voted for it. I'll raise my hand now and say that it ended up being a mistake, probably mainly because vouchers were involved. And as you've seen from recent videos, vouchers have gone through this massive journey, and I'm not even going to touch on them anymore. Right? They came in and they were a huge thing early on. Then node licenses came out in May of 2022 as well. That doubled the amount of vouchers that were being given out every day, which was kind of ridiculous. And then either way, I don't want to harp on vouchers too much, because I know I talk about it a lot. But just high level where we were going through in 2023, right? So we were pushing through. We had a lot of hype, I would say. In early 2022, the team was delivering stuff. Maybe it wasn't all the best, right? But like they started doing new rule sets every week or every other week. They started adding in different abilities and things like that. And there was a lot of hype still, despite the layoffs and despite the bad Q4 for 2022. And that all culminated with Land 0.5 getting released in or Land 1.0, I think it was called, right, where you could survey your land and all that in end of March, early April of 2023. And then from there, that's when I'll say things really started to head south, and they've kind of continued in that direction, despite a lot of the changes that have happened, right? So from there, we got stuck with Land 1.5, right? We got the Land 2.0 white paper. It sounded, or Land 1.5 white paper. It sounded awesome, and people were super excited. We were told we were going to get that in June. We were going to get the GLS game in June. We were going to get Soul Keep in June, right? June was supposed to be this big release month. June came and went, nothing. July came and went, nothing. August came. We had a false start because they were talking about getting, Land on the map server at that point in time, and like that weekend, and it didn't happen. And then all of a sudden, it's like, how are we this close from getting Land on the map server to it not happening at all in the month of August? And then I know I'm fast forwarding through a lot here, right? But this is just more so how I remember things. We get to September, where you had another massive shift in the project with, Aggie getting replaced by Matt as CEO of Splinterlands, right? Aggie went on to become CEO of the Invenium side of things, which is GLS, and they launched Arcade Colony. But for the most part, right, Matt was taking a very different direction. They went through another round of layoffs. The team was gutted in the sense that it was, they tightened the belt even further at that point. And so, from that point onwards, Matt was very much focused on just Splinterlands related things and just trying to deliver the stuff that had been promised. And so we got, following that, we got the Rebellion pre-sale in, what was it, March? No, it's not March. October of last year, October 2023. We got Land 1.5 in November, and then we got the full release of Rebellion in December. So, Matt came in, said he was going to try and deliver those things by the end of the year. I think he did, right? The only thing that was kind of up in the air was Soul Keep, which, unfortunately, got delayed even further. But that's a story for 2024, which we're going to get into now. So as we get into 2024, one of the big narratives this year that, I don't think has necessarily changed is that the team was going to focus on the new player experience, right? Land and the new player experience are the areas in which they wanted to enhance the game. I think even Land has fallen to the wayside as getting the player experience ready before what we're all hoping is a major bull run in late 24, early 25 was the priority. And one of the biggest things that I really respect that Matt has done, and I'll probably do a separate video kind of focusing on Matt's first year. But one of the things I really respect that Matt has done is the simple fact that he's looked at everything and said, we're not going to do something just because it's always been done that way. I think Matt has done a good job of coming in very open-minded to a lot of the issues that we've seen and said, you know what? Yeah, I know we've done this a certain way before, but it's not working, right? And it's going to piss off some people. But at the end of the day, we're trying to make the best experience for the game overall. And we've seen that happen with the rank rewards update that was, end of Q1, early Q2 that we had, where that kind of blew up the whole league system. And now it's just like a free for all. And a lot of people are still upset about that, right? We even had a vote potentially to bring that back. But, this is the idea that Matt had. And then from there, this year has actually been filled with a lot of major changes. And I even just thinking about it now, it's somewhat overwhelming because I know I'm not going to be able to remember everything. So hopefully folks that have been around for the last couple of months will understand and recognize just how drastically the game looks different than what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, right? Where we were earning DEC. DEC was well above PEG, right, for a long time as part of that bull run, then went well below PEG for a long time. But, with the launch of Rebellion last year, with a lot of the changes and tweaks that have happened, right, we had the Gladiator, the LPs, the DEC LPs get shut off. That wasn't really a team thing, but just a Splinterlands thing. And then we had the Gladiator, burning for DEC no longer being a thing. We had the introduction of Glint, right? There's been so many massive changes and shifts that I really do think a lot of the things are aligned in a much better way now for the game, for the project, for the ecosystem as a whole. We had the launch of Soul Keep, and I'm still excited about Soul Keep. I know that I don't play it much, and I know that there is definitely still a community there. But I look at that and I'm just like, the Double Coconut team has not started any kind of of real promotion for that. They've not done any marketing. I haven't seen any any kind of press they were doing press when they talked about acquiring the game, right? So the fact that like the game is out now and they're not talking about it just says to me that it's kind of like in an open alpha or open beta where they're trying to make sure that things are tweaked before they really turn on the jets. And so hopefully that'll be something that still ends up being a massive boom towards Splinterlands, right? The Splinterlands economy. But all in all, we've endured, we've survived. And I have to say, like I said, this wasn't just to do like a recap of Splinterlands. I have to say that with how things have gone, probably one of the biggest things that I am just like grateful for, and I know this is so freaking cheesy, but it's like really the relationships that I've built along the way, right? There were a lot of folks that I got to meet at Splinter Fest. There's a lot of folks that I haven't even actually met in person, but keep in touch with regularly and talk to them and kind of just have like similar views on not just crypto, but like life, right? And so I think that this is a really cool and unique space. And I'm not saying that Splinterlands is special. I think people find that type of community in whatever it is that they're interested in, right? And I just so happen to find a lot of really cool people within this space that, I shared a lot of interest with. And so where we're at right now, I don't know where things go from here, but I will say that without sounding stupidly or blindly bullish, for the first time in a while, I'm looking ahead and thinking to myself like, hey, we made it through some shit. Like we made it through some serious shit. 2 rounds of layoffs, token prices and asset prices just absolutely tanking, people leaving the game left and right. But now you have this core group of people that want, that are ride or die, that want to see this game succeed. And I'm not saying that it will, but I've said many times before, I'm not worried about the team's run rate, like the runway. I think Matt is managing things appropriately. They have a lot of ways in which they're trying to raise capital right now. They just, did the proposal for Hive. They did a proposal for Splinterlands, right? The SPS DAO. And they're going to be launching, potentially a mini set, all these different promo cards. There's a lot of different revenue generating things. And I'm still, myself bullish on where Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market will go later on this year, early into next year. And I think Matt's conservativeness will allow him to capture any and all gains and make sure that he can set the company up for years, right? Years of runway without, getting in over his head the same way that we did in 2021. And again, I'm not even trying to make a comment on that, right? Like, I think this is something where people are going to look and be like, "Oh, Aggie's going to do better than Matt." Well, I think it's I think it would be difficult to be in Aggie's position. So I prefer to look at it as a way where I think Matt is able to look at the mistakes that Aggie made and learn from them, right? Or at least I hope so. And if it had been vice versa, I think maybe it would have been the same. But that's me just being, I guess, political. I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody here. I'm just trying to capture my experience and kind of perspective as we've gone through this. So, sitting here with whatever it is to come ahead, I do look forward to what the next year of Splinterlands will look like, which, to be honest with you guys, is not something that I have always been able to say. Yeah, I come on, I make content, and I'm bullish and I'm bearish, Papa Bear sometimes, right? But there's definitely been times where I'm just like I don't feel like making content, or I don't feel like doing this, or X, Y, and Z, or it's like, and for the first time in a while, like I'm actually genuinely very excited about where things are headed. And I know hearing a lot of the negative sentiment now, I don't know why, but it just feels very different than hearing the negative sentiment in like end of 2022 or mid 2023, right? Like the team knows what they're trying to create and deliver now. They're not over promising and under delivering. In fact, they're doing the exact opposite. And once they're through this backlog of debt, which I think that, they're probably very close to at this point, I do get excited about where things can go in the future and how much this project can run. Again, I'm not saying SPS is going to make new all-time highs, although I genuinely pray and hope that we do. I just don't see it, right? Practically speaking. So none of this financial advice, but either way, if SPS goes up because people are coming into the game to check it out, the way that the numbers break down here, and I know a lot of people make fun of my math, which is fine, but you can do the math yourself and let me know. Like, there is true scarcity in here if this game reaches an adoption level, just 2 to 3 intervals higher than where we're at right now. And what I mean by that is if we have 2,000 players playing this game, 3,000 players playing this game, this whole ecosystem looks very different with 10,000 players. It looks very different with 30,000 players, right? So I think that's very much possible in a bull run, right? I'm not talking about millions or hundreds of thousands of players. I'm talking about 10 to 20 to 30,000 players. I think could come in and shoot this thing, with a shot of adrenaline. And that's what gets me excited for the future, right? So that's kind of where my head is at now, having seen the evolution of this project over the past couple of years, having seen people come and go, right? There's a lot of names that I'm not even going to refer to here. But you could throw them in the comments if you feel like it, right? Like there are a lot of people that, I know were integral parts of my experience within this game early on, and are no longer here for whatever reason, right? It's no judgment, but it is what it is. So we're here now. And I genuinely hope, obviously for myself, but for everybody else that stayed, that you guys are rewarded for that. And whatever that ends up looking like, I don't know, right? If you're here just for the financial rewards, I hope that ends up happening because I have a huge stake in the game, and I would like to see the game do well financially. I would like to see the ecosystem not just survive but actually thrive, and we get the activation of the flywheel to the moon. But whatever it is, like I said, I'll bring it back to the cheesy part. The ride has been fun. The journey has been fun with the people. And, now I think that we're through this dip of the roller coaster. And if anything, we're like on this kind of like, for me, it's like the anticipation of like going up to the next major, I don't know what you want to call it. It's not a dip, but like, the top of the roller coaster, right? So we're on this major thing where we're on our way to the top of the roller coaster, and I don't know what that ride is going to look like, but I just want to say genuinely, sincerely, that I appreciate all of you guys for being a part of that journey with me. So I know there's a lot of folks that I mentioned that I've gotten the opportunity and privilege to see them and hang with them in person, or to chat with them over video or whatever the case is. But there's a lot of you guys that are just usernames, right? And I don't mean to say that disparagingly, but I appreciate you guys. I recognize a lot of the usernames, and even though I haven't had a chance to run to do live streams as much over the past couple of months, that's something that I'm actively going to try and change later on this year as we head into the bull run. There's just been a lot of stuff music wise that's been on my plate, and I'm trying to knock all of that out so that I can make sure when the bull run starts, I can be streaming not just every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Hold me to this, but I mean, it'd be awesome to be streaming every day, especially if we're in a bull run. Because I just remember what last bull run was like, and it would be fun as hell to be playing games with you guys, not just Splinterlands, right? But just like any and all things that are happening. If it looks anything like 2021 or 2017, it'll be fun to experience that part of the journey with you guys, especially having been through the Undertale, right? Been through the difficult parts. It'll be fun to experience all the fun stuff with you guys ahead. So that is all I have in this video. Just kind of wanted to share my meandering thoughts over the past couple of years and what I'm looking forward to over the next 12 months or so. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you all. I hope you're all doing well. I wish you nothing but success, peace, and happiness. And enough of the cheesiness. I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Peace.